Let's jump into section 2 of the 2026 math past paper. I'm going to show you two ways to do this question. Remember, I'm not just doing this for those who want to see the answer, but I'm also doing it to benefit those who have to write in next year, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. And I remove one of the holes. And then I take 3 out of 5 from one of the holes. I would remain with 2 out of 5 parts. And I can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I would remain with 6 and 2/5. Good. So it's a technique you can try. The second method is to write our whole number over 1, change our mixed number to an improper fraction. 1 5 is 5 plus 3. That's 8 over 5. The LCM of 1 and 5 is 5. We divide and multiply. 1 into 5 is 5. 8 5s are 40. Take away 5 into 5 is 1. 8 1s are 8. We will remain with 32 over 5. It's a mixed number, so we must reduce. 5 can go into 32 6 times. 6 5s are 30, with a remainder of 2 over 5, and you're getting the same answer. Question 22. So Josh packed 257 pens into boxes of 5. The last box was not filled. How many more pens are needed to fill the last box? Now, this question didn't tell you how much box they have filled, but what we can do is divide 257 by 5, and that will give us the number of boxes that are filled. 5 into 5 is 0. 5 into 25 is 5. 5 5s are 25. We subtract, we bring down. 5 into 7 is 1. 5 1s are 5. And we remain with 2. We just divided. What does this information tell us? That we have 51 filled boxes. 51 boxes that has 5 pens each. So what is the total number of pens that are in the 51 boxes? That is the next thing you'll want to find out. So in the 51 boxes, it has 5 pens each. The total pens in those boxes is 255. So the remaining pens will have to go into another box, and that will be box 52. So let us subtract from the total number of pens, and this will confirm the number of pens that we already have for box 52. So if I subtract 255 from 257, I will remain with 2. So we already have 2 pens in box 52. And how many more pens do we need to put there? If a box has 5 pens, we will need to take away 2 from 5, and we will remain with 3. So the number of pens that will be needed to fill the next box, which is box 52, will be 3. Question 23. Kia planted lettuce seedlings and pepper seedlings. For every 6 lettuce seedlings, she planted 8 pepper seedlings. Kia planted a total of 180 lettuce seedlings. How many pepper seedlings did Kia plant? So the question is telling us the total number of lettuce, and it says for every 6 lettuce seedlings, she is planting 8. So what we need to do is to divide 180 by 6. 6 into 18 is 3. 6 into 0 is 0. And we're going to multiply this by 8. And this is going to tell us the number of pepper seedlings that she planted. 30 by 8 is going to give us 240. Now, if this didn't make sense for some of you all, then I'm going to show you all the longer route that some of you all might do until you realize that you can simply divide and then multiply. Let's put lettuce on this side. Let's put pepper on this side. And we can begin to list like this. So for every 6 lettuce, 8. For every 6, 8. For every 6, 8. And remember, we have to count in 6 until we get to 180. So that's why it will be easy for us to divide 180 by 6. And how many groups of 6 we get? We simply multiply it by 8. So again, our answer is 240 pepper seedlings. Question 24. Store A and Store B are offering discounts on the same television as shown below. Store A, the cost is $4,200 and you are getting $600 off. Store B, the cost is the same, $4,200, but you're getting 20% off. Explain which store has the better offer, and they want you to show all your working. So let us work out for Store A. So for Store A, the cost again is $4,200. We are removing the discount because when you're getting a discount, you are doing what? You are paying less. So we are removing the discount and we are getting the cost of the television at Store A to be $3,600. Now let's check out Store B. Store B, the cost is the same thing, but we got the percent discount. We need to work out the amount of discount. So we need to find 20% of $4,200. So we are multiplying. Let's look for opportunities to reduce. These two zeros could cancel these two zeros. We have 42 by 20. And we multiply, 2 2s are 4, 2 4s are 8, 840. Now we have to remember what we are working out. This is the amount of discount. This is the discount. Now that we know the discount, we can work out what the cost is. So the cost is going to be 4,200, take away 840. 4 from 10 is 6. 11 take away 8 is 3. So we are getting $3,360. So which store has the better offer? The answer is going to be Store B. 20% represents $840. And when we subtract $840, which is greater than the $600 Store A is giving you, you're going to pay less for the television. Okay, so you have to show all your working and explain which store is the better store. Okay, and as we just said, Store B has the better offer. Question 25. Sam works a 40-hour week, Monday to Friday, at $18 per hour. Now, on Saturday, he works for $25 per hour. Last week, Sam worked Monday to Saturday and earned $845. How many hours did Sam work on Saturday? Before we can work out how many hours he worked on Saturday, we need to work out how much he earns for the 40-hour week, which is Monday to Friday. So Monday to Friday, he works for 40 hours. So Monday to Friday, his wage for 40 hours, we're going to have to multiply 40 by 18. And let's set that up. 4 8s are 32. 4 1s are 4, 5, 6, 7. $720 is his wages from Monday to Friday. And this question told us that he worked Monday to Saturday and he earned $845. So if we subtract, that will give us the amount of money he worked for on Saturday. They gave us the total to be $845. Monday to Friday is $720. So when we subtract, what will we get? 5, 2, 1, $125. So now if he earned $125 on Saturday, the question wants us to work out how many hours he worked on Saturday. We can find that. Why? We know the total amount of money he earned, and we know how much he earned for 1 hour on Saturday. So if we divide that, it will tell us the number of hours he worked for on Saturday, and the answer is 5. 25 can go into 125 5 times. Question 26. At a magic show, 3/8 of the audience are adults. there are 600 more children than adults. How many children attended the magic show? Now let's look at the information they have. They told us the fraction that represents adults, and they told us the number that represents more children. So because they tell us the number that represents more children, that means we're going to have to find the fraction that represents more children. So again, let's identify what the question gave us. They gave us the fraction of adults. The fraction of adults is 3/8. If 3 out of 8 parts represents adults, then children will represent the remainder, which is 5/8. And the fraction of children is going to be 5/8. Now, it's 3 out of 8 parts. So out of 8, if I remove 3 parts, I will remain with 5 parts. So that's how I know it's 5 out of 8 parts. Now, the question says there are 600 more children. They didn't tell us there was 600 children, because if they told us it had 600 children and we found the fraction of children, we could simply equal the fraction of children to the number of children and be able to calculate the whole. But this question is telling us that there are 600 more children, so we have to find the fraction of more children. How are we going to find the fraction of more children? To find the fraction of more children, we will subtract. The fraction of they're telling us that children is more, right? So 5/8 is children, the fraction that represents children. 3/8 is the fraction that represents adults. We will subtract this. And this will give us the fraction of more children. Now that we have the fraction of more children, we can calculate the whole. You see, if you just equal a random fraction to a number, you will not get the whole. Follow the numbers. This is the number of more children. So you have to find the fraction of more children. So to calculate the whole, we're going to equal the fraction of more children to the number of more children. What do we do when we are calculating the whole? We reciprocate the fraction and we multiply. We look for opportunities to reduce. 2 into 2 is 1. 2 into 6 is 3. 2 into 0 is 0. 2 into 0 is 0. We have 300 by 8. 8 by 3 is 24. 8 by 0 is 0. 8 by 0 is 0. We are getting 2400. And nothing is stopping you from writing down the question to see how I got that. 8 by 0, 8 by 0, 8 3s are 24. So we calculated the whole. We are not finished because the question wants to know how many children attended the magic show. Now that we know the whole, we can find out the number of children that attended the magic show. The question told us 5/8 attended the magic show. So we find 5/8 of 2400, and this will represent the children. 8 into 8 is 1. 8 into 24 is 3. 8 into 0 is 0. 8 into 0 is 0. 5 3s are 15. 5 by 0 is 0. So we are getting 1500 children. That's it for question 26. Question 27. The table shows the number of oranges bought by each student in a class. Number of oranges. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We had 9 children that bought 1. We don't know how much bought 2. We don't know how much bought 3. 3 children bought 4, and 4 children bought 5. It is important to read and understand the tables. There are 20 students who bought less than 3. Let's look back at our table. So for those who bought less than 3, the total is 20. So if 9 bought 1, then if we subtract 9 from 20, we will get 11. The question is telling us here that 11 students bought 2. Because again, it says the 20 students bought less than 3. So if 9 bought 1, then 11 bought 2. We have one more to find. The number of students who bought 3 oranges were twice the number of students who bought 5 oranges. The number of students who bought 5 oranges is 4. So to get the number of students who bought 3 oranges, we simply multiply 4 by 2 and we will get 8. The question goes on to say, how many students are there in the class? So now if you don't get the correct numbers, you will not get the correct number of students in the class. So we would add 9, 11, 8, 3, and 4, and that will give us 35 students in the class. Question 28. The price of a jacket is $80. The store is offering a 25% discount on all jackets. Sonia says, that means I will save $25 on a jacket. Now, the question wants us to explain why Sonia's statement is incorrect and determine the discounted price of the jacket. Show all working. So they gave us the price, and that's $80. Our next step will be to work out the discount. They gave us the percent discount so that we can work out the amount. So we have to find 25%. And I know that 25%, 25 over 100, could be reduced to a quarter. Okay. We have to find 25% of 80. Let's look for opportunities to reduce. 25 into 25 is 1. 25 into 100 is 4. 4 into 4 is 1. 4 into 80 is 20. 4 into 8 is 2. 4 into 0 is 0. And I will get the discount, the amount of discount to be $20. Now, of course, you can reduce different to me, but we will get the same answer. So remember, she said she will save $25 in a jacket. Clearly, that's incorrect because the discount, the amount she will save is not 25, but rather 20. And further to that, the question wants us to determine the discounted price of the jacket. We know the price, we know the discount. What is going to be the discounted price? It's going to be 80, take away 20, and that's going to be $60. So Sonia is off by $5. Okay, and again, the question wants us to explain why Sonia's statement is correct, showing your working. Sonia is, and you use your numbers that you just work, you use your numbers in your explanations. Sonia's statement is incorrect because she will save $20 and not 25. The question also wanted us to determine the discounted price, and we did that. It is $60. Question 29. The rectangle and square shown below have the same perimeter. Calculate the length of one side of the square. What's going to be your first step? Find the perimeter of a rectangle. How do you find the perimeter of a rectangle? Perimeter of a rectangle is length plus breadth times 2. And I know that we can also write it differently. We can add our length plus our breadth plus breadth, or width plus width. Okay, it's the same thing. So I'm going to add my breadth and my length. That's a 16 and 6. And I'm going to multiply that by 2. So that's going to be 22 times 2. It's giving me the perimeter, the distance around this rectangle, to be 44 centimeters. And remember, the distance around this rectangle is the same distance around the square. How do we find the perimeter of a square? It's going to be side times 4. And in this question, we know the perimeter. We know a square has 4 equal sides. So to find the side, we simply divide the perimeter by 4. 4 into 44 is 11. So the length of one side of the square is 11. A sheet of plywood is shown below. We can see the length, we can see the breadth. A square of side 1 meter is cut from the sheet of plywood, calculate the area of the remaining plywood. So before we calculate the area of the remaining plywood, let's find the area of the plywood. And this plywood is in the shape of a rectangle. How do we find the area of a rectangle? It is length times breadth. What is the length? We have 2.4 times 1.2. What do we do when we are multiplying decimals? We can check our decimal places and multiply like if our decimal point doesn't exist and put it back at the end. That's one way of doing it. How do you know how much decimal places a number has? You check the digits after the point. So in this sum, we have 2 decimal places. So we will multiply and put it in after multiplying. I'm starting with my multiplier in the tens place, so I put a 0 first. 1 4 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 4s are 8, 2 2s are 4, 8, 8, 2. Are we finished? No. We have to put back our decimal points. We're getting 2.88 meters. Now the question said a square of side 1 meter is cut from it. How do we find the area of a square? Side times the side. One side of the square is 1 and the other is 1. And remember, the entire question is in meters. So 1 times 1 is 1 meter. So we can continue working in meters. So we have to remove the area of the square from the area of the ply. So all we would do is subtract 1 meter. So 1 meter is being subtracted. And here I'm putting zeros as placeholders. Now this is the tricky part of the question because some persons, right, they would have written the 288 here. They might have subtracted 1 here and get 187. Okay? That's one of the errors that students can make. Another way you could have done the question is by leaving your 288 centimeters, subtracting your 1 meter, which is 100 centimeters. And then when you remain with your answer, you put back in your decimal points. Again, multiple ways to approach the question. All right. So when I subtract, I am getting 1.88 meters square, and that's the area of the remaining plywood. Question 31. Identical cubes are placed in a box as shown below. How many more cubes are needed to fill the box completely? How do we find the volume of a cuboid? It's length by breadth by height. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as the height. The length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the breadth is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the volume of this is 6 5s are 30, and 30 by 7 is 210 cubes. So to completely fill the shape, we need 210 cubes. Now we have some cubes here already, so we need to check the cubes we have and subtract it from the total so we will know how many more cubes we need. So how many cubes do we have? We have the height already told us we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 2 here, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 cubes already. So if we remove the cubes that we have, we're going to need 197 cubes to fill the box completely. Question 32. A ribbon with a length of 1 meter 13 centimeters is cut into 3 pieces. The second piece is 15 centimeters longer than the first piece. The third piece is twice as long as the second piece. What is the length of the first piece of ribbon? Yes, unequal sharing. So we're working out the first, we have to work out the second, we have to work out the third. You cannot just, it's being shared unequally. You cannot just divide your 1 meter 13 centimeters, which is 113 centimeters. You can't just divide it by 3. Yeah. If we were sharing things equally, you could have done that, but you can't just divide by 3. The question is telling us the second piece is 15 centimeters longer than the first piece. Do we know what the first piece is? We don't know what the first piece is. So I'm going to let X represent what the first piece is. I don't know. So I'm just using an unknown. And yes, you do algebra at the primary school level. As a matter of fact, you have been doing algebra since in first year. When you have been doing those questions with 5 take away something is equal to 3. See, I'm just replacing the box that you're familiar with a letter. Okay, so you have been doing algebra since then. So we don't know what's the first term, but the question is telling us the second piece is 15 centimeters longer. So it's going to be the first term plus 15 centimeters. Then the question is telling us the third piece is twice as long as the second piece. So the third piece is 2 times what the second piece is. And I don't have to write this multiplication sign here. Okay, if I just wrote my 2 here, it will still mean to multiply. What is the length of the first piece of ribbon? The thing is, we know that the sum of the first, second, and third pieces is going to give us 113 centimeters. So if we add the first piece, the second piece, and the third piece, it's going to be equal to 113 centimeters. And now we simplify. First, I'll work out what I have in my brackets. I could have done that already. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 15 is 30. And all of this is equal to 113 centimeters. How many x's do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 x's plus 15 and 30 is 45. And that is equal to 113 centimeters. Remember, we are solving for the unknown. So I'm going to take my 45 on this side and it will do the opposite operation. It will, instead of adding, my 45 will subtract. So I am getting 113 minus 45. I'm subtracting here for us to see. I'm getting 8, 6. So I am getting 68. So what would I do now to find out the unknown? This 4 that is being multiplied on this side will now divide. How much times could 4 go into 6? 1 time, with a remainder of 2, and 4 into 28 is 7. So we are getting the unknown to be 17. So we know what x is. X will be 17. 17 will come here, and 17 will come here. So we know what x is. So I am replacing my x so I can get the values of each. The first piece is 17. The second piece will be 17 plus 15, which will give us 32. Third piece is twice 32, 2 times 32, which is 64. But again, the question wanted the length of the first piece. So 17 is our answer. And yes, there are multiple ways in which we can approach the same question. Okay, so I'm sure that you can work this out another way. Next question, 33. 4 quadrilaterals are shown below. What are quadrilaterals? 4-sided shapes. We have a square, we have a trapezium, we have a parallelogram, and we have a rhombus. Write the names of the quadrilaterals that match the properties given. 2 lines of symmetry, 0 right angles. Now a square has 4 lines of symmetry, so it can't be a square. This trapezium has 1 line. This parallelogram has 0 lines of symmetry. So it's definitely our rhombus with 2 lines of symmetry and 0 right angles. A rhombus has 2 angles that are less than 90, that are acute. and two angles that are obtuse, greater than 90 but less than 180. Which quadrilateral has 4 lines of symmetry and 4 right angles? And that's going to be our square. Question 34. A triangular base pyramid is shown below. So from first glance, you look at this, you might be thinking of a square base pyramid. The question said, a triangular base pyramid is shown below. So it's okay if you're not seeing the line that's drawn here. That's why we need to read the questions more than once. It says the base of the pyramid is an equilateral triangle. Well, do you know what an equilateral triangle? All sides are equal. All angles are equal. What do you know about a scaling triangle? No sides are equal. No equal sides. No equal angles. What do you remember about an isosceles triangle? 2 sides are equal and therefore the 2 base angles are also equal. Yes? So equilateral, all sides are equal. They want us to draw all the remaining faces. So how many faces do we have here? So we have 1, 2, 1 on the other side that you're not seeing, 3, and 1 underneath 4. So we have 4 faces. So you have to draw 4 equilateral triangles. So watch the height of this one. It went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So make sure all is the same. You don't have to start from here. You don't have to. But I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots are being connected. Again, you don't have to draw your triangles this close. You're going to have space to, if you choose to draw them separately, okay? I don't have enough space, so I'm drawing mine touching each one here, and they are all equal, and it's 4 faces. Strawberry is the favorite ice cream of 6 students, and what number is represented by A? As we can see here, we have no numbers on our bar graph. But the question is telling us that strawberry is the favorite ice cream of 6 students. So this represents 6. Now, if we check here, we will see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. For peanut, we have 2.5 bars. For vanilla, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. And for strawberry, we have 1.5. And 1.5 is equal to 6. So what we can do to find out, we know 1.5 bars, this is the facts, is equal to 6, represents 6 students. So what would we do to find out how much 1 bar represents? Now it's important to find this because they want us to find out what number A is, as well as, and once we get that, we'll know what vanilla is as well. Right? So how would we find out what 1 bar is? To get 1 bar, we would have to divide. So we can divide 6 by 1.5. 1.5 could also be written as 1.5. So you can work with a decimal or you can work with fractions. If we work with fractions, it's going to be 6 divided by, change your division, change your mixed number to an improper fraction first. 2 ones are 2 plus 1. That's 3 over 2. What do you do when you're dividing fractions? Change your division sign to a multiplication sign, reciprocate the fraction. You'll get 2 over 3. 1 is the whole number here. You look for opportunities to reduce and you multiply. 3 into 3 is 1. 3 into 6 is 2. 2 3s are 6. 3 into 6 is 2. 2 2s are 4. So this is telling us that 1 bar is equal to 4. Now, if you worked with decimal, you had 6 divided by 1.5. Remember, when you are dividing decimals, there can't be any decimal points in your divisor. So you're going to have to shift the decimal point once to the right to make this a whole number. Once you shift your decimal point in your divisor, you also have to shift your decimal point in your dividend. Okay? So we'll get 60 divided by 15, and this will still give us 4. So again, if 1 bar represents 4, from 0 to here will be 4, and we will count in 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, here will be 20. So that means A is 20. So 1.5 is 6, and 1 is 4. Okay? So we are counting in 4s, and again, A is 20. Question 36. The diagram below shows the scores of 3 girls in a dice game. So here we have Sue, Mia, and Jess. First throw, we can see what Sue did, Mia, and Jess. The question goes on to tell us, Rhea joined the game. After her 3 dice rolls, the mean score of the 4 girls increased to 11. Draw the number of dots for Rhea's third dice. They tell us the mean of the girls increased. So what is the mean of the girls? Let's set up. How would we get the mean? We know it's 3 of them. And Sue is 5 and 4 is 9 and 1 is 10. Mia is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And Jess is 5 and 4, 9, 10, 11, 12. When we add 10, 8, and 12, we are getting 30. And 3 into 30 is 10. So the mean of the 3 girls is 10. And they said when Rhea joined the game after her 3 dice rolls, the mean score of the 4 girls increased to 11. So what is going to be the mean of the 4 girls? As the mean of the 4 is going to be 11. We have the information to find the sum for the 4 girls. 11 fours are 44. The next step will be to subtract 30 from 44. And we are going to get 14. So that means Rhea's 3 dice should add up to 14. Now remember, we know what the 3 girls' sum was. The 3 of them is 30. When Rhea joined in, they increased to 11, so we got a new sum of 44. So when we subtract 30 from 44, we are remaining with 14, which will represent the sum of Rhea's 3 dice. Now, how much Rhea has here at present? Rhea has 6 and 4 is 10. So if we remove 10, that means the next dice, instead we have to draw it, will be 4. And that's it for question 36.